So while I sounded so feminine, I realized in that moment that I have not only embraced my voice but have come to use so much of it that I'm now an educator, a spoken word poet, a lyricist, an actor, a public speaker. And what I've realized is that once you own your story, you eliminate the doubt or the fear of being judged by others. Hi, my name is Deepak Ramola. I'm a wisdom historian and an author, and watch me on Yo India TV.
Hello everyone, we have Deepak Ramola right here with us at South Asian Literature and Art Festival 2024, Sala 2024. Welcome to Yo India TV with me, Jasleen. How's the experience here?
I love Sala. I think it brings together so many thinkers and doers, which is a rare combination. And when you realize that these are all people coming from South Asia, the region you call home, it feels all the way home here in, California. So I'm very grateful.
This topic, as you can see, is to be rich without money. Both an invitation and a provocation. I want to invite you to this conversation, this experience, as my mother would say, to understand and explore a dimension of wealth that you may not have. My mother, despite being pulled out of school, was a great inspiration because I used to think this woman manages the finances of the house without ever having gone to school. My mother still manages the finances of the house without knowing profit and loss, interest equations ever. Gives the greatest relationship advice, has never read Socrates or Confucius or anything. And so at age 14, much around the time when this picture was taken, I walked up to my mother and I said, "How do you know so much if you didn't go to school?" And she said, "Oh, the fact is I didn't go to school. The truth is life is my classroom. I'm learning from living." That one statement of hers influenced me so much that I thought if she's learning from living, that means everyone who is living is learning something. And that's when the population of the world, which is 8 billion now, seems like a good number, right? If every person in the world gave you just one piece of lived, authentic wisdom, we would have a solution repository of 8 billion perspectives.
Mm-hmm. So you have been a kindness ambassador at UNESCO MGIEP. So tell us a little more about this program and how was your experience there?
Being a kindness ambassador really is a way to serve and document more kindness stories. When I was in the position for 2 years, what I did is I traveled around and I just collected people's kindness stories and tried to promote that in young people. I think we often forget in the process of making our careers and building our bank balance or a sense of security that we also have a responsibility to be kind and empathetic to others. And just trying to create and make it look cool and good was my role and responsibility at UNESCO MGIEP. And I think I did my best. And even without that title, as my mother says, the role is to be a kindness ambassador. You don't need an institution for it. You need intention for it. Ai panchami maau ki banta haryali jau ki, hums my grandmother, sitting on the parapet of her courtyard overlooking the majestic Tihri mountains covered in lush pine tree forest. She pauses to teach me a Gadwali folk proverb, "Jab pani ka dhara aag lagdi to bujhauni ki na." When water catches fire, what will you douse it down with? Every planter in a New York apartment, every creeper in a Mumbai balcony, the butterfly that sits momentarily on the tree and then on your palm, the seed that has just learned to cope in the concrete crack on the sidewalk, is a testament to how much our souls crave the color green, and that every small effort is a revolution for what is still possible, not just what could have been. An old woman tells me, all the pain in the world that couldn't be resolved stacked up to form the mountains, and all the pain that could be healed formed the rivers. Both help us survive. When you see a green patch of grass, take off your shoes, walk barefoot. When you find a river, dip your toes in it, drink its water, hold it in your hands. Every once in a while, take a hard look at the goddamn sky. Be grateful and acknowledge that you are here.
and alive.
So, you being a graduate from Harvard, what exactly was the subject of your study and how you have applied it to being a life coach?
So I actually stay away from the term life coach because I feel like then it puts the responsibility of coaching other people, which is really a task I find scary. What I do feel like is a person who suggests a lot, shares a lot. I studied learning design and innovation in education at Harvard, and I also took a lot of classes on becoming a good person and meaning of life and anthropology and ethnography. Because for me, understanding the human experience and how do we learn, how do I learn from you as you're asking these questions, how do you learn as I answer these questions, is important. And we all are students, right? So at the Harvard Education School, that's what I tried to learn, how to be a good student rather than just a good teacher.
What is for you shall not pass you by. Love, not because it's necessary, but because it's possible. When you're done using the jar, remember to close the lid. Never leaving home is not the same thing as coming back. Prioritize your time for the people you love. Oh, by the way, these are not quotes that I've downloaded from the internet or have forged from some high-end self-help book. These are life lessons of people like you and me. How do I have them? Because I collect them. Yeah, just like some people collect stamps and tickets and coins and letters of ex-boyfriends and girlfriends. I collect life lessons.
So, what do you do full time? Do you pursue this?
I run an organization called Project Fuel, and we document wisdom of people from around the world on a regular basis. So that's what my full-time work is, and at the moment I co-teach the meaning of life class at MIT.
So, our religious scriptures back in India, and there are so many religions, all teach kindness, all teach goodness, and there is so much already documented, even sometimes hard for people to interpret because of the way it is written or because of the languages they chose to put it in, which were more relevant in those times. So, how do you see them as a source of inspiration for kindness?
Nobody ever becomes awakened or enlightened alone. And I don't mean enlightenment in the Buddha sense. I mean enlightenment from your own ignorance of the last mistake you did. The spiritual text, the messages, the learnings are all a way for you to remember what is important. I often feel we are all each other's alarm clocks. Whenever we need to wake up, some clock will ring. So you will say something that will wake me up. I'll say something that will wake somebody up. It's recognizing the responsibility of being a good alarm clock that rings at the right time and that doesn't snooze off while the other person snoozes. I think is important. And the religious text or spiritual text, I would say, are these stories in which you can see yourself and know what the moral of the story is and how it applies to your life today, even though Gita was written centuries ago and Bhagavad Gita or Guru Granth Sahib were written thousands and thousands of years ago, but they're true and applicable because they carry the essence of what you are feeling and I am feeling and what you and I struggle with together.
There's a shred in a Maya Angelou poem that I'm reminded of. It's called To Our Grandmothers, and the statement is, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. And I think when you become proud of who you are, you stand up for 9,999 other people who sound, talk, walk, think, look, and feel like you. So you have to own your story today. I hope this fuels your day.
I have heard about you a lot that you mentor people to become rich without actually being materially rich.
I think they can be rich by themselves, right? And especially here in California, I think being rich and means very different things than how I see. What I try to do is try to expand the definition of rich. It's not just about the money you have and the bank balance you have. It's truly about how many people you care about and how many people care about you. Because nobody would be willing to talk to you if you bumped into them at a dinner party and they didn't know how much money was in your account and who your resume claimed you were. So there is a lot of sense of becoming the right person with the right values that we discount, which makes you more wealthy. So.
There are many kinds of wealth. There It's physical wealth, financial wealth, spiritual wealth, social wealth, and this is just some of them. I couldn't put them all on a slide, so I honestly don't have time today to take you through all of them, but I did shortlist about 4 kinds of wealth that I thought we could experience together. And the first wealth is the wealth of wonder. This is a guy named Philani Dalada. Philani is a beggar in Johannesburg, South Africa. He's a beggar, but he does not beg. What does he do? He collects books, reads them, and then at the traffic light, as your car stops, he comes and says, "Have you read The Alchemist?" You say, "What?" You say, "Have you read The Alchemist?" No. It's a story of a shepherd boy who goes in the search of a treasure, and then he comes across these challenges, and in those 30 seconds, he does the best pitch of that book. And you say, "What happens to the boy?" And he says, "You have to buy the book. Park on the side." So famous has his approach become that he now has a foundation and an entire industry, begging industry revolutionized in Johannesburg, South Africa. It's called the Bookworm Foundation. Reads books, wonders about them, and has created an entire way to challenge the limits of what it is to ask for money.
Any short story that you would like to narrate for the benefit of the viewers?
Oh, wow. Okay. Short story. I'm trying to think. Many years ago, I was teaching a group of visually impaired students in India, and everybody was either born blind or had met with an accident that made them blind. And I wanted to know what was the advantage of being blind. And the teacher, who was also blind, said to me, no, that's an inappropriate question to ask a blind person. So I said, "But that's your opinion. Can I ask the kids, because I'm their friend and probably I would know better and they would know better for themselves." So she allowed me, and I went around the room. And the third person I asked, she said, "Oh, the advantage of being blind is I can see a rainbow when there isn't one." And I thought to myself, there was a teacher there who thought there is no advantage to being blind. And here is 11-year-old girl who thinks the advantage of being blind is you can see a rainbow anytime. That lesson is the greatest learning in me, that you can look at your own circumstances from a perspective of disadvantage or deep advantage and then go through life accordingly.
Last summer, I asked my grandmother, as she caressed the face of a pale papaya leaf sitting on the parapet of her courtyard, overlooking the soot-covered, shrugged Tihri mountains, as the bitter black smoke of wildfires hunted down her favorite pine trees. What incentive should I talk about in my poem, Grandma, that could excite people for climate change? She smiled and said, "That's strange. If the right thing to do is not rewarding enough, then no rewarding thing would ever be right or enough."
So what's your message to all the viewers of Yo India TV?
Your talent is not your gift, it's your responsibility. If you think your talent is your gift, you will sleep on certain days and not show up for events that are draining or have less audience or take the whole day. But when you take it as your responsibility, you will find the courage, the resources, and the time to show up every single time. So your talent is your responsibility, not your gift. Thank you.
Very well said, and thank you so much for your time in speaking with Yo India TV. Truly appreciate.
Thank you so much.